Which brings us to the most cursed film of all time, certainly the most famous one, Poltergeist. One of the most famous cursed films, certainly. In fact, it might even be better known for its curse. It certainly led to the notoriety of the series. It's alleged this curse stems from the film using real skeletons in the scene when they're in a pool of water and skeletons are coming out of the ground. Which, yeah, that's true. I'd heard that multiple times. I thought it was bollocks. I looked it up. It's true. Whew. So they actually use real skeletons, and it should be said that they're not the only film that has used real skeletons or even real bodies. Many films have done that. Skeletons have been used in horror films before this and after this. So the question is whether or not that is a legitimate reason. Now, some have suggested that if you actually believe the legend, the skeletons were dug up from graves. Now, I don't know, is this a case of people attributing the actual movie's plot to this? I don't know. That part is not true. These were sourced from a local medical warehouse, allegedly. And in this case, it is that thing where the film's subject matter has sort of lended to this theory that it is cursed, because they are quite similar. The idea that, oh, you desecrated a burial ground, and because of that, you're cursed and haunted. Whereas in the actual, or in the production of the film, you use actual skeletons, therefore you've awoken a curse by disrespecting the dead. So one of the very minor misfortunes, and I should say very minor, is apparently the mechanism for the choking clown malfunctioned and nearly choked the child actor involved, which is very minor. He got off easy based on some of the other people involved, unfortunately. One of the actresses, actually two of the actresses, who were quite young, are killed. The first one is Dominique Dunne. Dominique Dunne is in the first Poltergeist film. She's one of the main kids, the older of the kids. She is in an abusive relationship, and she's strangled by her boyfriend, which left her in a coma. And a short time later, she is taken off life support. Of course, a very tragic, but almost to add insult to injury, the killer only gets 2.5 years for it. Very upsetting, and unfortunately a very real, brutal death that's so avoidable. But does it lead to it being cursed? I don't know. Now, before we get to the one that everyone's familiar with, we should also talk about some of the more minor deaths involved. Poltergeist 2, there's an actor who performs an exorcism on set, hoping to rid of a bad omens or mojo. It's that same actor, I can't remember his name, who's in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He plays Chief in that. He would eventually die of kidney failure and malnutrition at just age 53. So some people point to his young age, and the strangeness of that condition being evidence that he has also been hit with the Poltergeist curse. Because when we talk about the Poltergeist curse, it's not really just confined to one film. It's confined to the series as a whole, which is quite strange when you compare it to the other films that we talk about when cursed, because normally it's a single film, despite some of them having sequels. Aside from that, there's an actor on Poltergeist 3. Also Poltergeist 2. He does make an appearance in Poltergeist 3, but that's with a death mask, which is kind of creepy. He dies of stomach cancer as well. So is that a reason? Who knows? Unfortunately, cancer is just a bitch. So whether or not it's a curse, who knows? But the most famous cursed death probably ever is unfortunately the death of Heather O'Rourke, who appeared across all 3 films. She was sick, but they misdiagnosed what was wrong with her. They believed that she had Crohn's disease, and she was being treated as such. The problem is that she didn't actually have Crohn's disease. If you see, particularly in the last Poltergeist film, her cheeks are quite chubby, and that's because she was taking medication and taking, treatment for Crohn's disease, which she didn't actually have. What she actually did have was a genetic narrowing of her intestines that was never caught. Now, some people have said that there was no way of catching it, but others have disputed this. But as a result, since it wasn't caught, eventually her bowel ruptured and she died of toxic shock at just 12 years old, before Poltergeist 3 was actually finished filming. The film was, as a result, with stories about the Poltergeist being cursed, bringing up the deaths of Dominique, and of course now the more recent death of Heather. And they just get absolutely harassed with questions about the film being cursed. And eventually the movie comes out, and it's sort of forgotten. It's sort of a black mark because of the death of such a young actress. And it's really because of this that it gets a lot of press about being cursed. This is probably why Poltergeist is talked about so much and is the most famous cursed film of all time, because it happened just before one of the films was even released. And the film is sort of jinxed, or considered jinxed as a result, and a lot of the people involved get absolutely harassed about the curse and whether they think it's real. And it's possibly the best known curse film. It's got a lot of attention, and it's probably added to the film's legacy. To be honest, I don't think the film would be remembered as much if it wasn't for the idea that it was cursed. But that brings me to the question of whether I think it's explainable or whether it needs to be exercised. And to be honest, this is one of the cases where the story of the film is sort of intersected with the curse, and I think kind of added to it. And as a result, it's hard to definitively say for sure. There's plenty of made up elements in the story as well. A lot of people say, "Oh, all the kids in Poltergeist were dead." Yeah, this one died this way, and it's not. It's two of them. And because of that, it feels like people are trying to determine or write that story that this film is cursed, and here's why. And unfortunately, the only two real deaths of note, as much as it's a shame that we lost two other actors, they were a decent age, the ones that make it much more notable is those two young actresses. But connecting it to Skeleton seems inconclusive, as other films have done that. And why just the younger ones? Why not some of the rest of the cast? Why were other films not cursed? For example, Apocalypse Now used real bodies. Why? I mean, some people say that film's cursed. Not a lot of people. But why are we not talking about that film in the same breath? And as a result, it's hard to say for sure whether the film is cursed. I think it's likely a case where people wanted to add to that legacy, and because of that, they connect dots that maybe aren't necessarily there. And I think that's also why they kind of reach to say the whole series as opposed to just one entry like they do with most others.